Hi, I'm Steph, the VP of Product here at Amy. For more than 20 years, we have accelerated fundamental research in artificial intelligence, or AI, and we're one of the largest centers for reinforcement learning, or RL, in the world. RL plays a crucial role in developing artificial general intelligence, or AGI. The significance of RL in AGI development lies in its ability to enable autonomous learning and decision-making. The field of RL is crucial for the next wave of advancement towards AGI because of the focus on adaptability, complex decision-making, exploration, exploitation, generalization, and autonomous learning. You've probably heard more about AGI in the last year than ever before, and that's because many in the AI community believe that the advances in generative AI are a big step towards AGI. Researchers at Amy are happy to debate that topic at length, but today I'm here to answer some of your most pressing questions about talking to your clients or customers about your use of generative AI. Today we'll cover what is generative AI, what should you consider before using generative AI in a client engagement, why you should be transparent about your generative AI use, and how to integrate generative AI into your project workflows. IBM defines generative AI as a deep learning model that can generate high-quality text, images, and other content based on the data they were trained on, and that at a high level, generative models encode a simplified representation of their training data and draw from it to create a new work that's similar but not identical to the original data. At its core, generative AI functions by learning patterns and structures from vast amounts of data. It then uses this knowledge to generate responses, often creating text ranging from coherent sentences to creative compositions or even complex images and soundscapes. Some of the most common applications of generative AI are text generation, image generation, audio synthesis, data augmentation, style transfer, drug discovery, and game design. The potential applications of generative AI span a wide range of client engagements across diverse industries. There are numerous opportunities, from tasks like copywriting and graphic design to customer support and e-commerce. Additionally, generative AI can play a significant role in professional services, such as strategy and management consulting. The versatility of generative AI makes it applicable in addressing various challenges and enhancing different aspects of client interactions across the business landscape. As you interact with generative AI tools like Midjourney and ChatGPT, the content produced is the output of a deep learning model when provided a prompt. Google for Developers defines prompt engineering as the art of asking the right question to get the best output from an LLM or large language model. It enables direct interaction with the LLM using only plain language prompts. If you're new to prompt engineering, Google for Developers has 6 best practices for you to start from. 1. Communicate what content or information is most important. 2. Structure the prompt. Define its role, give context, input data, and then provide the instruction. 3. Use specific varied examples to help the model narrow its focus and generate more accurate results. 4. Use constraints to limit the scope of the model's output. This can help avoid meandering away from the instructions into factual inaccuracies or hallucinations. 5. Break down complex tasks into a sequence of more straightforward prompts. And 6, instruct the model to evaluate or check its responses before producing them. For example, make sure to limit your response to 3 sentences or rate your work on a scale of 1 to 10 for conciseness. In conclusion, generative AI operates by leveraging deep learning models trained on extensive data sets to generate high-quality content, with prompt engineering playing a pivotal role in directing and optimizing the output by strategically framing questions or instructions. Now that you have the basics of what generative AI is, how it works, and how you interact with it, let's turn our attention to some of considerations you should have top of mind before using this technology in client engagements. Here are a series of questions to ask yourself before integrating generative AI tools into your consulting practices or client workflows. First, purpose. Are you clear on why you want to use generative AI? Is it to boost productivity, enhance creativity, or streamline your tasks? Next, outputs. What kind of generative AI outputs most benefit your purpose? How do you intend to use those outputs in the client engagement? And do you understand any ethical or regulatory complexities facing your client if outputs from generative AI are used in their sector or workplace? Up next, we have inputs. Do you know and understand the type of data the tool you want to use was trained on? What kind of data you will need to upload to be successful? You have to remember, when it comes to using generative AI in your client engagements, it's vital to consider not only how you will use the outputs of these tools, but how your prompt engineering practices can impact your client. And lastly, ask questions about alignment. What information do you need from your client to ensure alignment with your use of generative AI to succeed? These questions can feel daunting when you're at the start of your generative AI journey. However, giving yourself time to think and document your answers before integrating generative AI practices into your client workflows will give you a solid footing to build trust and ultimately create greater value for your customer. The recent report from Deloitte, Impact and Opportunities, Canada's AI Ecosystem 2023, outlines more than 10 factors contributing to the development of an AI-ready culture. Business leaders across the country agreed that for AI to be successfully deployed in an organization, steps need to be taken to actively foster the development of talent and leadership support of human-AI collaboration, transparency around the value created by AI, ethical guidelines around the use of AI, communicating the value brought by human force, and lastly, data fluency, enhanced decision-making with data. What this tells me is that across the business landscape, everyone has questions and concerns about adopting generative AI tools, and they want to be proactively involved in conversations that impact their work. Here are my top 3 reasons to be upfront about your generative AI practices. First, helps you avoid misunderstandings. Openly discussing the role of generative AI in the work helps prevent confusion and ensures that both parties are on the same page. In the next section, I'll walk through a generative AI checklist that can help document this conversation. Up next, trust and credibility. Fostering honest relationships built on integrity is the cornerstone of all client-based business models. You can deepen your relationship with your clients by being proactive about your approach to this new technology and providing space to bring up challenges. Lastly, client education and collaboration. Many of your clients may not be familiar with generative AI or its capabilities. By bringing them along for the journey, you become more than a service provider, you become a valued partner. The more your clients understand how generative AI can be a positive addition to your work together, the more opportunities you have to use the tool more collaboratively for larger impact. When it comes to integrating generative AI into your project workflows, there are a few tools that I like to use here at our work at Amy. Internally, we have a generative AI terms of reference that provides all staff guidelines at a high level on our accepted use cases for generative AI and client work, and our expectations for why, when, where, and how this work happens, while providing as much flexibility as possible. It also provides clarity on how our work with generative AI aligns with formal policies like IP, privacy, and IT. For each workflow type, project managers document the generative AI use cases, draft a description, and where documentation can be found. For some teams, this is in a playbook, but you can also find this information in a project charter or a project brief. We also include tasks related to generative AI in a team RACI chart. Now, when it comes to working directly with clients, we have a generative AI client sign-off form that serves as a conversation guide. We walk through each type of generative AI we may want to use in the engagement by explaining the use case, definition, and tool type, and of course, all the associated documentation for each. For each category, we can customize use based on the client's restrictions. These restrictions might be based on a policy or a regulatory environment, and we use that as an opportunity for education. We go through this sign-off at the beginning of the project so that we don't negotiate technology use at critical points of time during delivery. Here's an example of the sign-off we use here at Amy. It's a simple project management tool that not only empowers us to use generative AI in ways aligned with our purpose, but builds greater confidence with our clients. In conclusion, you should implement a comprehensive framework, including internal guidelines, project documentation, and a client sign-off process in your use of generative AI. Our approach at Amy ensures responsible and purpose-aligned integration of generative AI into project workflows, fostering clarity, flexibility, and confidence in our engagements with all of our clients. The opportunity to incorporate generative AI into your work is exciting, but it can feel overwhelming, especially if you're trying to set yourself and your team up for success. Remember, generative AI operates by leveraging deep learning models trained on extensive data sets to generate high-quality content, with prompt engineering playing a pivotal role in directing and optimizing the output by strategically framing questions or instructions. Before starting client work, you should define the purpose of your generative AI work, consider the impact of outputs and inputs, and prioritize alignment opportunities with your clients. Transparency is crucial because it can build trust and create pathways for education and collaboration. And finally, take the time to operationalize your practices with internal guidelines, documented use cases, and client sign-off. Ultimately, navigating the landscape of generative AI involves understanding its fundamentals, adopting transparent practices, considering client needs, and integrating those powerful tools into project workflows with a comprehensive framework, ultimately ensuring responsible and purpose-aligned utilization. Before we wrap up, let me share a little bit more about Amy. As a globally recognized hub for AI excellence and one of Canada's 3 named institutions in the Pan-Canadian AI strategy, Amy's multidisciplinary team bridges the gap between research and real-world application. By leveraging our expertise, industry partners can navigate the complexities of AI adoption, fostering innovation and staying ahead in an evolving technological landscape. Thanks for joining me today, and good luck with your generative AI journey. Hi, I'm Steph, VP of Product here at Amy. For more than 20 years, we have accelerated fundamental research in artificial intelligence, or AI, and we're one of the largest centers for reinforcement learning, or RL, in the world. RL plays a crucial role in the development of artificial general intelligence, or AGI. The significance of RL in AGI development lies in its ability to enable autonomous learning and decision-making. This field of AI is crucial for the next wave of advancement towards AGI because of the focus on adaptability, complex decision-making, exploration and exploitation, generalization, and autonomous learning. You have probably heard more about AGI in the last year than ever before, and that's because many in the AI community believe that the advances in generative AI are a big step towards AGI. Researchers at Amy are happy to debate that topic at length, but today I'm here to answer some of your most pressing questions about generative AI and your business, including what is generative AI, what are the opportunities for your non-technical teams, and finally, how to integrate generative AI into your work. IBM defines generative AI as deep learning models that can generate high-quality text, images, and other content based on the data they were trained on, and that at a high level, generative models encode a simplified representation of their training data and draw from it to create a new work that's similar but not identical to the original data. At its core, generative AI functions by learning patterns and structures from vast amounts of data. It then uses this knowledge to generate responses, often creating text ranging from coherent sentences to creative compositions, or even complex images and soundscapes. Some of the most common applications of generative AI are text generation, image generation, audio synthesis, data augmentation, style transfer, drug discovery, and game design. Generative AI, as you interact with it through tools like Midjourney and ChatGPT, is the output of deep learning models. Language models, or LLMs, are a subset of artificial intelligence that enables machines to generate text-based content. These models ingest large amounts of data to make predictions about future data. That future data is presented to you as human-like language on a vast scale. It's important to note that when these models are making predictions, it predicts in a sequence of the next best bet. Think letter, then word, then sentence, then paragraph. It does not begin with an endpoint formulated. Often the outputs can feel human-like, but the models don't think or create, and the models certainly don't have intent behind the presented answer. LLMs aren't new. The concept has evolved over many decades with notable advancements in natural language processing, or NLP, and machine learning, or ML. Some of the key moments in the history of LLMs include Ngram models in the 50s and 60s that laid the foundation for understanding contextual language patterns. The 70s and 80s saw a shift towards rule-based systems that improved language understanding, but were limited on linguistic nuances. Improvements in language prediction and generation in the 90s were made possible through statistical language models. And the early 2000s brought a massive leap in modeling sequential data that greatly improved the representation of contextual information. And advances like transformer architecture in 2017 enabled a model to weigh the importance of different words in a sequence. All of this work over half a century brings us to today's contemporary large language models that set new benchmarks in terms of scale, parameters, and language understanding capabilities. These models we use today are pre-trained on diverse datasets and then fine-tuned for specific tasks. Multimodal models go beyond traditional text-based language understanding by incorporating the ability to process and generate content in multiple modalities. In the context of generative AI, modalities refers to different types of data or information, such as text, images, and potentially other forms of data, like audio. The term multimodal indicates that these models can effectively handle and generate content across various modalities, making them versatile in understanding and creating information in different formats. These models can process inputs that include a combination of data types, allowing them to comprehend and generate responses that involve both language and images. For example, using a multimodal model, you can input a text prompt accompanied by an image and generate a coherent and contextually relevant response, incorporating information from both the text and the image. This capability is particularly valuable in tasks that require understanding and generating content in diverse forms, such as image captioning, question answering based on visual prompts, and other applications where text and visual information interact. These models are trained on large data sets, enabling them to learn complex patterns and representations across different modalities. The development of multimodal models represents a significant advancement in generative AI, as it enables more sophisticated and context-aware interactions in applications that involve a combination of different modes. So, how does generative AI impact our non-technical teams? Well, the opportunities are vast. Generative AI can streamline tasks, boost productivity, and enhance creativity, from crafting compelling emails to generating code snippets. Establishing guiding principles for our non-technical teams when utilizing these models is crucial. At Amy, we have these principles documented in a terms of reference for our staff as an addition to an employee handbook. You may choose to include them in your IT policy, code of conduct, or project charters. We also encourage the documentation of specific tool use into workflows and standard operating procedures. Let's outline a set of guiding principles that ensure responsible and effective use of generative AI. First, use generative AI to suggest rather than problem solve. Generative AI can provide suggestions, aiding in decision-making processes. Second, encourage collaboration by brainstorming ideas instead of relying solely on AI-generated content. And finally, emphasize the importance of review. Every output should be thoroughly examined, edited, and personalized. Now let's address the paramount issue of data privacy and security. This becomes a two-pronged challenge in your business. How do you select, vet, and document the privacy and security of the generative AI tools you want to use in your business? Followed closely by, how do you support, train, and ensure your team members understand the types of proprietary information about your organization, customers, and associated IP that should or should not be entered into a generative AI system? Here's a set of questions you can start to use when evaluating potential generative AI tools for use in your business, and how prepared your team is to understand the security and privacy risks associated with these tools. Does this tool use AI to make decisions that impact our staff, clients, or systems? If so, what are the possible consequences? How does the tool or affiliated company use, store, or sell the data we input? Is the affiliated company transparent about the data used to train the model? Does the tool comply with data protection laws and regulations? Has someone on the team tested the tool to ensure it performs as expected? Who is assigned to regularly monitor and evaluate the tool's performance to ensure it meets ethical standards and identify any issues that may arise? Does a new IT policy or procedure need to be drafted to support the correct use of this tool? Have we documented what types of internal data may or may not be uploaded or provided to this tool? Responsible use is the cornerstone of integrating generative AI into business workflows. It's imperative to recognize the limitations of these models. They are powerful but imperfect. Always treat the output as a valuable suggestion, not an irrefutable solution. When a generative AI tool makes what you call a mistake or makes something up, it's not malicious. This action is called a hallucination. Hallucinations are particularly challenging because they often sound or look plausible, but are factually incorrect, misleading, or not grounded in reality. When a hallucination happens, the model generates content that is a product of its training data, and the output created best meets the needs of its set parameters for prediction, not necessarily accuracy or traceability. The potential for hallucinations in generative AI is one of the key reasons for your company to discuss, decide, and document how to implement tools into specific workflows based on guiding principles, rather than a blanket approach to deployment. You will need a nuanced approach because of how a hallucination can impact any given process, individual staff member, or client experience in your business. As we integrate generative AI into non-technical workflows, consider all outputs as an augmentation to, rather than a replacement for human expertise. These are tools that enhance our capabilities, not replace them. Here are the steps to consider when integrating generative AI tools into your workflows. In the last segment, we chatted about generative AI guiding principles. That's a great place to start. Take some time to draft those principles. Next, walk your organization through the principles. Identify opportunities to integrate proven generative AI tools into a single workflow. Prioritize the opportunity and select a single change and tool to test. Agree to a generative AI experiment with specific measures of success and clear guidelines for safety, privacy, and responsible use. Provide training and support to the team implementing the experiment. Come together to evaluate the experiment. Document the change and move on to the next priority. As you embark on the generative AI tool adoption journey, it's important to note that your approach should be iterative as the field is rapidly changing. Continuous improvement involves learning from your experiences, adapting strategies, and evolving alongside advancements in the field. The opportunity to incorporate generative AI into your work is exciting, but it can feel overwhelming to set yourself and your team up for success. Remember, generative AI is how we describe LLMs and multimodal models. These models ingest large amounts of data to make predictions about future data. These predictions are presented to you, the user, as text, images, and sound. Your organization can utilize generative AI tools to streamline tasks, boost productivity, and enhance creativity. Establish generative AI guiding principles so everyone better understands your expectations related to why, how, when, and by whom these tools can be used. And don't underestimate the change management required to integrate generative AI into a new workflow. Start with one workflow and run an experiment to get everyone more familiar with this new technology. And finally, make a commitment to ongoing AI literacy training across your organization so you're prepared for continuous improvement. In conclusion, the integration of generative AI into non-technical workflows represents a significant leap forward for your organization. By adhering to guiding principles, emphasizing responsible use, and providing the necessary support, we can harness the full potential of generative AI. Before we wrap up, I'd like to share a little bit more about Amy. As a globally recognized hub for AI excellence and one of Canada's 3 named institutes in the Pan-Canadian AI strategy, Amy's multidisciplinary team bridges the gap between research and real-world application. By leveraging our expertise, industry partners can navigate the complexities of AI adoption, fostering innovation and staying ahead in an ever-evolving technological landscape. Thank you so much for spending some time learning more about how generative AI can be used in your business.
Hi, I'm Cam, CEO here at Amy. For more than 20 years, we've accelerated fundamental research in artificial intelligence, or AI, and we're one of the largest centers for reinforcement learning, or RL, in the world. RL plays a crucial role in the development of artificial general intelligence, or AGI. The significance of RL in AGI development lies in its ability to enable autonomous learning and decision-making. This field of AI is crucial for the next wave of advancement towards AGI because of its focus on adaptability, complex decision-making, exploration and exploitation, generalization, and autonomous learning. You've probably heard more about AGI in the last year than ever before, and that's because many in the AI community believe that the advances in generative AI are a big step towards AGI. Researchers here at Amy are happy to debate that topic at length, but today I'm here to answer some of your most pressing questions about a topic that's come up recently, Q-learning. What is Q-learning? Why is Q-learning in the news now? And finally, what are the other trends in reinforcement learning that you should know about? To start, let's back up and review reinforcement learning. In the RL problem setting, an agent learns to map situations to actions to maximize a reward signal. In the case of generative AI, the situation could be what prompts the user has typed in, the action is what text to generate, and the reward signal can be whether the user likes or dislikes what's been generated for them. In this setting, the RL agent can learn to improve the prompts that it generates based on continual feedback from the user. In the RL problem setting, time is of particular emphasis. Typically, an RL agent is learning to improve over many interactions over time. This is particularly important for chat-type systems, where the agent is learning from multiple interactions and where the agent is learning to take multiple actions in new situations to try and generate the best possible set of outcomes or rewards. A good question to ask here is, how does this agent learn to improve? In reinforcement learning, this is an ongoing area of research, and Q-learning, invented by researcher Chris Watkins, is one of the methods that has been used very successfully. In Q-learning, the agent learns the values of situation-action pairs, also known as state-action pairs. These values estimate the value of all of the current and future rewards that an agent will get if it takes an action A in that situation. It updates the value of these pairs by taking the current value and adding it to the next value. This is the reward it gets, the value of the next best action it could take, and finally subtracting the current state action value. This is known as the target. Altogether, that gives us the following equation. That may seem like a lot of math, so let's think about it conceptually. Our agent is learning to update the value of a situation and action by taking what its current value for that situation and action is and updating it with the new information it has received, the reward, and the estimate of what the future values could be. These funny Greek symbols, alpha and gamma, refer to how quickly we update our current values and how much we discount the values of future rewards compared to the rewards we receive right now. Why does Q-learning matter in generative AI? As a system takes action, for instance, generating new text, it may choose the best possible action, or it might try a different one to see if it could be better. Q-learning allows the system to both try the best answer it knows and occasionally testing to see if something is better, while always updating on what the best action could be. This allows the system to continue to search for the best actions to take. We rarely see specific RL approaches name-checked in news reports or trending on social media, so we were as surprised as anyone to see interest in Q-learning spike dramatically this fall. You likely have heard about Q-learning either because of its role in successful AI projects like the Atari game project, or because of discussion coming out of OpenAI in November 2023. Reuters published an article that reported the internal project named Q-Star could be a breakthrough in the startup search for what's known as artificial general intelligence. OpenAI defines AGI as autonomous systems that surpass humans in most economically valuable tasks. While there's continued discussion about what Q-Star may be, it has brought attention to Q-learning's role in the ongoing development of generative AI systems. Emerge reported back in May, OpenAI published an article saying they trained a model to achieve a new state-of-the-art in mathematical problem solving by rewarding each correct step of reasoning instead of simply rewarding the correct final answer. If they use Q-learning or a similar method to achieve this, that would unlock a whole new set of problems and situations that ChatGPT would be able to resolve natively. So for better or for worse, the theory that Q-learning might have something to do with the advancements towards AGI at OpenAI drove the interest in the approach. There's a lot of interesting math and experiments on the topic. If you're interested in learning more, I recommend the paper Playing Atari with Deep Reinforcement Learning. In this paper, researchers share that the goal of the agent is to interact with its environment to select actions in a way that maximize future rewards. If you're interested in diving deeper, this field has been pioneered by Amy's chief scientific advisor, Dr. Richard Sutton, whose textbook, Reinforcement Learning: An Introduction, is the go-to resource for learning about reinforcement learning and methods such as Q-learning. Amy researchers, Drs. Martha White and Adam White, have created an entire Coursera specialization on reinforcement learning that I encourage you to check out. Here at Amy, our researchers have been at the heart of development in RL for decades. Dr. Richard Sutton is considered the grandfather of the field. He literally wrote the book on it and serves as our chief scientific advisor. He also happened to be my research supervisor, where my work focused on AI adapting behaviors to improve their own self-learning. Now that you know a little bit more about Q-learning, here are other approaches in RL you should have on your radar. temporal difference learning, which is the basis for many of the core RL solutions, policy gradients, which are one of the current core technologies that is used in reinforcement learning from human feedback, general value functions, which are the basis of multi-prediction learning in RL and have led to advancements in areas like auxiliary tasks that have improved the results in RL systems. Reinforcement learning is used in many different areas, from industrial control to beating poker professionals. I would encourage you to learn more about RL and the many ways it could be used in your business. Entering the realm of reinforcement learning is thrilling, but navigating its intricacies might seem like a daunting task for you and your team. Remember, the unexpected surge of Q-learning in the headlines came from its potential connection to OpenAI's internal project Q-Star. Digging deeper into Q-learning, we've gone beyond shared alphabets, shedding light on how it represents a key element in the desired state for maximizing long-term rewards. Concluding with broader trends, we've touched on the evolving landscape of generative AI tools and the noteworthy figures shaping the field, providing context for Q-learning's role. Before we wrap up, I'd like to share a bit with you about Amy. As a globally recognized hub for AI excellence and one of Canada's 3 named institutes in the Pan-Canadian AI strategy, Amy's multidisciplinary team bridges the gap between research and real-world application. By leveraging our expertise, industry partners can navigate the complexities of AI adoption, fostering innovation, and staying ahead in an evolving technology landscape. Learn more at amy.ca. Thanks for spending time with me today to learn more about this exciting field in AI.